Good morning everybody, welcome back to the Life's Good. It's a gorgeous morning here. The sun is shining, I've got the sun on my back as I'm working in the garden. There is a breeze, so a little bit of fresh air moving around. I've been doing a few things out on the garden here and I'll show you exactly what I've been up to in a minute. But before we crack on, I just want to turn around here and show you our two chooks in here. We've got Daisy and Peggy, and they've been taking a bit of a morning dust bath here in their pen. Now unfortunately Violet is no longer with us. She took bad a few days ago and she got worse and worse, and she lost her battle with illness yesterday. So sadly Violet has gone, but we still have these two, and these are both laying eggs, so we're happy with that. And we're just now contemplating whether we do in fact get a replacement for Violet, or a couple of replacements, or whether we just stay with these two for the time being. We're not too sure at the moment, it's still early days. But unfortunately, as I said, Violet is no longer here. So it's just Peggy and Daisy. They're good girls, bless them, and they're just relaxing in a bit of sunshine here and having their dust bath. Right, well, if I turn you around now, just point out a few things that I've been up to. I've actually put up this netting, which is going to be for my peas, and I have just commenced putting out my ambassador peas into the plot. So I'll put you up on the tripod and explain what I'm doing there. Well, I'm not sure what's going on this morning, guys, but there seems to be a lot more aircraft than normal going in and out of the airport, so I do apologise in advance if we get interrupted by some of those aircraft. As I said, I've put the netting up. I've used some old posts from an old windbreak that we had years ago. I've put the posts and some canes across and attached the netting with some string. It's a bit high in the middle, but that'll actually pull down as the peas attach themselves and pull themselves up here. That will pull down. Now, I've put a couple in already. Now, what I'm doing here, these are my ambassador peas that I've sown in a 24 cell tray. And they're desperate to go out now. Now, I sowed 2 pea per cell when I first sown these. Most of them have germinated. In a few, there's just one, as you can see, which is often the case. And in some, there are 2. So not all of them have germinated, but most, so I'm happy that we've got quite a few. And I have got another tray full in the greenhouse coming on to follow these on. Now I'm using the handle as before. When I was sowing out the beetroot, I used the handle to gauge the spacing. So I want about 4 to 6 inches, probably about 4 inches, which is the width of this handle. It's probably about 5 inches to be honest, just across there. And I'm making quite a good size hole, because this cell, the 24 cell, the holes in there are a bit bigger than the 40 cell that I had the beetroot in. So I'm making quite a reasonable size hole to start with my dibber. This dibber, incidentally, it's made from an old shovel handle. It was my grandfather's originally, the shovel. I did use it up until one day the handle snapped, and I replaced the handle with a new one. And the old handle, I just shaped a point in the bottom, and I've used this as a dibber ever since, and it's been absolutely ideal for making holes, for planting everything out. And of course the handle I use for spacings. But I think of my grandfather as I'm using this, because this handle's just about had it now, but I think of the times when he'd use this shovel and he had his hands around here, and it's now in my possession. And nice memories, I guess, of my granddad, and times I used to spend with my granddad out in his garden and out on the farm sometimes. So yeah, memories of granddad there. Now I've made my hole, and I'm using this time a spoon. These cells are a bit bigger, and I really do need to get the whole thing out, the whole sort of soil clump out without breaking it apart. And I found this old spoon, just an old dessert spoon. I've had this for years. I think that might have been my gran's or my mum's or somebody. I have no idea. It's mine now, and I use it in the garden. But all I'm doing is I'm just popping it in alongside these peas that are growing, pushing up from underneath a little bit and lifting the whole thing out as one big plug like that. And I'm just popping that in the hole and pushing it down with my fingers. It doesn't matter if you pop it down in a little bit deep, they'll be fine. It'll give them a bit of protection around the bottom there. Be protected from the wind a little bit in their early days. So that's that one. It's only a small one, that one, but yeah, I'm sure you'll pick up. Just get my spacing there. Put another large hole using my trusty dibber, Grandad's dibber, or Grandad's spade handle. Shovel handle, actually, to be precise. Yeah, so there we go, one hole. And again, we come over here. Now that's not got one in, you see, that one hasn't germinated at all. Now I'm separating them, they're little tendrils that they put out to hang on to things and climb with. They're latching each other together here, so I separate them before I lift it out of the cell so that it does come away clean without pulling anything else with it. So I just put the spoon in, I push from underneath, and there we go. And look at the roots on there. It's got a massive roots. It's desperate to go in the ground. They're all curling around at the bottom there. That will establish very quickly in the ground now. So I'll pop it over the hole, push it down in. There we go. Push the soil around it. And there's another one out. I'll just tuck them around the bottom of the net there just to give them a start. Sometimes they just need a hand just to point them in the right direction. Sometimes they can just trail straight across the floor after you've put them out because they lie down. But if you just hook them up onto there, they'll latch on. See, he's fallen off. I'll just pop him in there. There you go. Just give him a little bit of support to start him on his way. Get me a little spacing. Just before that cane there, I'll put another one in there. Well, I'm hoping to get a good crop from these this year, guys. Ambassador peas are fairly it's a good cropper. It's just a main ordinary pea. Produces pods with nice fat peas in, we hope. And we're looking forward to harvesting these and using them fresh, or in fact freezing them and having them later in the season or later in the year. So here we go again. I'll just push up from underneath. He's separated from the others, so he's not going to yank anything else out with him. And again, lots of roots in the bottom of there, so I'm just popping that in the hole, pop it down in, push the rest of the soil around him. He's curling around the bottom of the cane already, so that's good. We'll just leave him there, he'll be fine. And that's the peas going out. It's quite straightforward, it's easy to do. You can use all sorts of implements for doing these tasks. As I said, the spoon I find quite convenient, popping it in there and lifting them out. I use the small green pricking out tool for smaller cells, as I showed you with the beetroot. So that's the peas going out. I'm going to finish putting these out, and I'll show you what else I've been up to up the other end with my my brassicas. I'm hoping to start putting out my calabrese and my cabbage, so I'll show you that in a moment. Well, I can't emphasize how wonderful it has been out here today. I've had a fantastic time on here. I've got an awful lot done. I think I've been out here about 5 hours, maybe 6 hours total today. I stopped for a couple of breaks, had my lunch, but we saw the peas being sown this morning, and they're right over the back there, as you can see. That's my row of peas, and there's still room for another section in there. Those are in the greenhouse coming on. Now I have put out spinach in this area here using the same planting out method as I showed you before, using either the little pricking out tool or a spoon, and I've got another big spatula I use as well just to lift the plants out, keep them in their little clumps, and then put them in the ground. So I've done that with the spinach, and I've also managed to put a couple of marigolds in. I've got a marigold here and here. And as we walk back down this little pathway that I made, you can see I've got marigolds along the sides, and I've put some nasturtiums at the bottom here, and in the corner down by my shallots. There's a nasturtium there, and a couple more further along. Now, I just had to duck under the laundry as we kept round here. What I did do, under this little bit of netting, this mesh or chicken wire, I've put out cabbages. So I've sown or planted out some cabbages in this area here, and at the very back where those bird scarers are, I've put out my calabrese. So all in all, it's been a very productive day. I've constructed these little bird scarers just from some metal poles sitting in the back of the shed, and I've just knocked them in the ground, tied a string between, and just tied off some strips of compost bag. Hopefully that'll deter the pigeons from attacking these greens. Pigeons do that. They will come down and they'll take all the tops off these and stop them dead in their tracks, so we'd rather that didn't happen. Now that's why I put this mesh on the top, to deter them a bit more. So I've got the chicken wire on the top, also on top of the broccoli. So yeah, productive day. I've done an awful lot. I've also been able to do some lawn mowing. I've cut the grass on the front lawn and made that look a bit tidy. Now if you just bear with me, guys, we'll just walk through this path. This is an area I've not shown you before. So you can see that this is the front area of our home. I've got some work to do on this little wall. It got knocked down by the window cleaner, so I'm going to be repairing that at some time. But yeah, this is the front sort of ornamental garden at the front of the house. And look at the show of colour here. Nice forsythia. I love this in the spring. That is a definite sign that spring is here. And we've got a flowering currant in the corner. This has got a fantastic show of flowers on this here. Look at those. Aren't they just absolutely stunning? Beautiful. And of course my hellebores. I do like these. These are really pretty. All got their heads facing the sun. They usually hang down. They're normally, with the hellebore, you have to lift it up to see inside the flower. So there's one there. Beautiful. Aren't they just gorgeous? Delivery van going by. This is our Acer, or Japanese maple. Just coming into bud. You can just see little pink buds on there. And we got a few bulbs showing. And the clematis is coming back. As you can see, that'll be climbing up this trellis. One over there and one on the far side. And these clematis, incidentally, I've grown these from cuttings from the one at the back. So that's been successful to produce plants for free. Well, as I walk around, I see task after task after task that needs to be done. So I'll just keep pressing on. I got a couple of days off from work. I got some holidays to use up, so I'm fortunate enough that with the weather being nice, I can spend as much time as I like out here without worry. And the sun's a bit bright, so I'm not sure if you can see too well. But looking back across there, this is looking quite a nice productive plot now. I've got all sorts growing and room for a few more things as well. I've still got to put out my parsnip seed interspersed with spring onions. I've got a section in here. I'll probably put my leeks in here somewhere. I'm growing those in clumps. And there's a section in here I'm going to be putting my lettuce. And of course at some point I'm going to have to find a home for my courgettes and my pumpkins. They're going to take up a lot of room, but they probably won't go in here. I've got other ideas for those. So yeah, it's all happening. Spring is here, everything's budding and blooming, and I've had a fantastic day. So whatever you're doing, guys, take good care of yourselves. If you get out in your garden, I hope you can crack on and get things done. At the end of the day, it's all about enjoying it. If you're not enjoying it, then it's pointless doing it, isn't it? But I do enjoy doing this, and seeing the plants thrive and grow, and of course the food we harvest from this plot is fabulous. Has a better flavour than anything you could buy in a supermarket or shop. Absolutely wonderful. with very minimum mileage. It goes from this back garden about 30 feet to the kitchen, and you can't get better than that. Right, well, as I said, you take care, guys. Whatever you're doing, be careful, have fun, and come back and we'll see you again on the Life's Good. Bye bye now.